Well, we're not actually live. We are just recording. Uh, anywho, so yeah, on my end, I'm still working on the Coinbase API thing. It's more tricky than I thought because I'm now setting up a whole node because I want to test all of the. Basically, they want everything to be set up under like one Docker, and so they want to hit like Docker Compose up, and then everything spins like the whole node,
Hmm.
etc. And Docker is not really my main thing. So I'm looking at what you guys have done for well most of the Hap stuff and the
Well, so if you could do a Docker Compose, you don't have to have one Docker. It just,
yeah I
it's
know,
just,
but like
yeah.
in the sense that I have to set up a bunch of Docker files and set up things correctly.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I'm working on that. I saw that you guys pinged me on some npm package thing, but I don't see where like I received the emails, but I'm not linked to the issue, so I don't know what's going on there. Um, and also, I realized that I forgot to fix my merge request for HiveMind, like the one that was did not make it to the last
Hmm.
update. So I started working on that as well. I'm expecting it's just like rebasing and fixing the tests that may have been broken by the new schema and whatever. I expect to push this around this week, so that
Okay,
we can close this and move on. And yeah, that's about it.
okay. As far as what we've been doing, I guess one thing that's been kind of long awaited is we've got work done now on the light nodes for Hive. So you can basically tell it to that you can have it split the files, like, so the log files are the block log files are split up into multiple files, which is nice if you want to be able to like give somebody just like they've got an old block log file and they just need the more recent blocks, for instance. Um, Although I don't know how that works if they start it. I guess we must have it. Do we have it rounding off to it's always it must be smooth numbers so that they'll fit together, I guess. So it's each one is like, I guess, a million blocks
Yes.
when you're operating it in the when you're operating in that mode. And you can also tell it just to keep the last set of blocks, for instance. So you could keep the last 3 million or the last 4 million or the last 5 million. So it can, dramatically reduce the storage requirements for some of the servers, especially like the half servers and stuff like that. So I haven't personally tested it yet. I'm going to probably be testing it later today, uh, and try it with some of our half servers. So swap over some existing half servers and just sort of remove most of the block log, I guess. Although I don't know exactly how we wind up doing that, so I've got to figure out if we've tried anything like that before. Have we? Do you know if anybody's tried that yet? Take,
Yes, not the half, all the half
but
mathematics.
but Hive D. Has anyone like taken an existing Hive D with the block log and then said,
So
can you tell it
we
to throw
cannot.
away?
So block log util cannot do that yet. It's to be delivered at some point.
Okay.
So you would have either to sync from scratch to have those blocks or
Okay.
copy from one of the servers. I will be starting delivering those, but I think in, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
what we're gonna
two
really
three
want is a
weeks.
way to just throw away, just tell it to like throw them away somehow, like swap. We need to have it swap mode. So like we need it to be able to like you start with the block log. I guess you could probably do this now. You could start with the
Yes,
block
yes,
log
yes,
and
yes.
then tell it.
I think that this brutal way of replacing should work. So if you have latest version, you can just stop it, replace with the block logs. I actually
Well,
will put.
actually, I'm even thinking you don't have to replay. Here's what I'm thinking. Just bear in mind, see if it works. So you have an existing block log. You shut down and you start it again, but you give it the options that you tell it that you want to.
No, 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 no.
No,
It doesn't
we
work that
just
way. But okay, so please. I
we
have.
just said
Sorry, I have a just better way. I just put on my server like three full 1 million blocks, like 83, 84, 85, and
Okay.
the last 86 one, so you can actually try to stop and start with replacing your block log file with those files.
And you just tell it to replay to. I mean,
Yeah, so the tricky part is that you would have to actually
be behind.
yes, yes. Stop your node before I stopped mine. So probably that won't be live until I will switch my seed node to be in this mode, like uh,
What I have
split
to
block lock. But because of course that's very very important. Do not do that for your seed nodes, please,
yeah, of course.
because
I'm
yeah,
talking,
seed
yeah,
nodes. Yeah.
absolutely,
Of course,
absolutely.
there are a lot of use cases where it's profitable, like the half node or Bastion for witnesses, etc.
Actually, I think it should work in some safe way, and enabling option just to split files should create the latest file for head block millions of
In a new
blocks.
file, right?
Uh, yes, in new file and left old block
That's
lock.
what I was thinking. Okay.
Also, I think splitting option without pruning can be helpful also for seed nodes because it allows to save files across all file systems. For example, some old blocks can be stored on
Yes.
HDD and then symlinked to the final location. And actually, after a few administrative simple tasks, we can spread such files across whole storage on machine. So it can be helpful, I hope.
Okay. So right
Yes,
now, I guess they need to be in the same directory, but I guess you're talking about.
Yes, yes, yes.
But
They
I guess
still
you
actually,
can
must
link.
be.
not even that. Listen links are enough. So it was already tested by our developers. So
Okay.
Anyway, we decided to merge it to develop science implementation seemed to be fine enough. And right now we will also testing it in such edge cases. So I hope it will working correctly. It definitely it works fine when I synthesizing from scratch. Block log
Mhm.
files have been splitted. I didn't yet enable pruning, but I know that author of this implementation did it several times and it worked too. So probably just such edge cases when we are switching from old block log to new scheme maybe can make some problems, but I hope not. And definitely they will be addressed by improving blocklog util just to split existing file into new set and just start and again from given block Hive.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll test though, just shutting one down and starting it up. I'm thinking you're right. I think it'll probably just start writing the new blocks to the new file. But I guess at least once it gets to a boundary, I guess it would wait till it got to a million block boundary, and then it probably would switch over. So I guess might not be able to see that too fast.
yeah, we already passed 85.
So anyways, so that's one thing that's been worked on. I'm kind of excited to play with that some and see how that works out. Um, could definitely reduce the amount of storage we need to run a half node by quite a bit, because that data is already compressed as much as we can get it. So
Also,
it's actually a pretty substantial portion of storage now for a half node.
for image hoster, it just could be Prunet node because it doesn't need
Yes,
to have
exactly. There's a lot of nodes like that
yes, yes,
that aren't
yes, yes.
really, they're just serving some. They're just a worker node.
It's really a awesome feature because even if you think that the old blocks can be set, all the 85 files can be set to read only eventually. It doesn't have to access all the huge file when your node is a seed node or serving get block request, etc.
Hmm. So let's see. So that's one thing we worked on and got into develop. I guess there was an improvement made to the market history API to show maker taker. It's not a big thing, but it's something I guess the UIs will need to take advantage of now because I don't think obviously that none of the UIs support that right now. So that's really, I guess, something to mention for anyone who's got a application that shows the market. Let's see what else. Bunch of work done on Beekeeper. That Beekeeper is the key management tool, and I guess we made some improvements as we've been testing it with. I guess is it been with Clive that we primarily been testing it with?
Yes, definitely. It is mainly tested by Clive, but also by our front ends because we are using WASM version embedded into browser just to authorize login in new dancer and next sign and sign transactions before broadcasting. So some problems appeared. They were fixed. And I hope this tool is better from week to week and really can be trustworthy soon.
Okay, sounds good. And then looks like we made some modifications to half. I know we got rid of. I know I saw the row ID change. I don't guess we've done any measurements yet on. I guess obviously it's going
Uh,
to end in terms of
Actually, this is not yet ID change. This is continuation of
got rid of the row ID, right?
optimization. Yes, row ID.
Yeah,
Yes, that
yeah, yeah.
that's separate thing. Uh, as far as I remember, in Hivemind, for example, which is an irreversible application,
Yes.
there is near to 60 gigabytes
Wow.
place
Nice.
to save.
That's
And
awesome.
of course, writes will be faster because we don't have indexes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Less data to write and less indexes. Yeah, all around. That'll be nice. That's cool.
I also hope we will complete second part of space optimization in this week. This one related to elimination to columns from
You're talking about
account
the half.
operation
You're talking
table.
about
Yes,
the
yes,
half, yeah,
yes,
operations
exactly.
table. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that you also mentioned that that the work was way for the HiveMind server change from from Python to SQL. How is that looking?
Well, as I know, it is not looking bad. Developer which made this task continued it until tests, and probably some test groups even passed after such change. So when I will review it, maybe at Wednesday, it will be ready to merge. We will see. But that's hopeful work, and I hope also that he made some good examples for other developers less experienced in SQL and similar work, just to continue basing of this pattern, because there is a lot of API methods to be transformed, and just foundation work has been done right now to start others too. And I hope we will have eliminated Python from server part up to July release.
Oh, awesome. That'd be great. So just to give some background on that, for the other guys, but there's a lot of Python code in the original HiveMind, even in the server side. And so since we would like to switch it all over basically to SQL, which will, because then at point we can use PostgreST for everything, and we've had better performance for that as a server. Plus, we'll get rid of it. Just in general, the code will be faster typically in SQL than when when there's Python involved. So that's what's going on there. So I'm expecting some reasonable speed ups in some of the HiveMind calls as a result, but we'll see. In HiveMind, it's always been a little bit of a difficult to measure performance in part because of the Python side of things. We can pretty accurately measure what's going on the SQL side, but the Python's a little more nebulous in terms of measurements. Let's see what else. I guess. I guess another thing that's probably interesting people is we've switched to Postgres 16 in the developed version now for half. So it's merged in at this point, and it's fully supporting Postgres 16. And we've done performance testing and everything, and haven't had any regressions in terms of speed anywhere. And we did get some benefits out of that in terms of one of the things that we had was a lot of logging, and I guess it was HiveMind. It was logging quite a bit, and we needed a feature I think which is probably in 15 in order to decrease the logging somewhat, so that got merged in as well. So next time we release HiveMind, the logs will be quite a bit less chatty, which will be nice because it's kind of, those are kind of big logs. Let's see what else. Actually, I guess we'd done the follow thing afterwards. So I thought we'd merged that in before the release, but I've got it here as a new feature. So we also noticed that the follow API was a little bit slow. And so we went back and analyzed that and restructured the tables for that to speed that up. And that's like much faster now than it was before. What else? Let's see. We've got some notes about Block Explorer. We tested it against Postgres 16 and that worked fine. There's some minor changes I think were made, but not much. And we're continuing to make improvements to both the speed of the Block Explorer and also some of the API, some improvements to the API as well. So one of the big things there still is to do the documentation for the Block Explorer's API, and actually for some of the other APIs as well. We're kind of all the new APIs. If anybody's looked at the API for Block Explorer, they'll notice it's a REST-based API versus the older JSON-based API. And so since we're as part of that move, we're also looking at various tools to improve, sort of automate documentation, basically annotate the documentation into the SQL code when you're defining the APIs. And so I think there's a guy here on my side that's working on that and experimenting with various SQL parsers. We're trying to find a good parser for parsing the annotations. And, that way we can get things like the parameters and have those like identified. And then, so Postgres T, the server we're using, already has some capability for that, but unfortunately, most of the documentation it provides is around the tables and not so much around the functions. But we're mostly interested in documenting the functions, of course, more than the tables and the views. What else? I guess we've done a bunch of stuff on Wax. I don't really know all the details, but I haven't been so involved in that. Bartek probably can discuss more what's going on there.
Actually, mostly it was completing features required also for Clive and other tools preparing transactions. One of biggest feature is encrypting memo field in transfer operation, which is right now supported in Python part and also TypeScript. We also improved a little TypeScript transaction builder interface by supporting encryption for a few other operations like custom JSONs, comment, and other transfers. So if anyone would like to encrypt their operation description, it is possible right now, and I hope it is quite well designed at object level and easy to use. A few other things we made there are specific to release. We would like to make, I hope, in a month, and thoroughly test it and be sure that this library is not best, it is best than dhyve or Hive.js, and definitely we need to test generation of transactions with every operation and verify that that works correctly. Some initial tests have been done. We have also corrected some bugs specific to protobuf, but I hope works is going pretty well. And I hope we will be ready soon for making public npm package for that, and at next step similar package for Python, and we will see. I hope most of front-end developers will be able to switch soon to this library from dhyve or Hive.js, because in my opinion, it is much better than the latter ones.
Do we have any kind of timeline for when we'll be able to get a package for it?
We need to start first from Beekeeper WASM part, and that work was started today, and I hope It will be done this week, and whole wax I expect to be released at the end of June. So maybe even earlier. There is we want mostly focus on testing because there is no big list of new features we want add there. Rather, everything is right now at the end of feature scope I'd like to have there. But right now we need to verify that everything works correctly. And actually, last feature being under development is API calls health check.
Hello? Hello? Okay. So yeah, I think he was going to say the last thing we've done is generated a health check component that I guess apps can use to like find an endpoint for uh, to allow finding endpoints for APIs.
Hello?
Yep. You're back. We can hear you. Hopefully you can hear us. So yeah, but what I think what he's saying is they're adding a feature to, you know how like a lot of the libraries, some of the libraries like Hive.js, yes. Do you hear me? When you don't type, yes. When you type, we can't hear you. Let me. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if he's not talking anymore, so he's muted. He's muted now.
Sorry, I have some audio problems.
Yeah, now you're fine.
Can he hear us?
I don't know, but we can hear him. Oh, but he muted again. He muted again.
Okay, I am back.
Yeah, he's back. Okay. So I was telling him, I think what you're talking about was we were adding a feature to be able to like to the library to be able to talk to different find the different API endpoints for and
Yes, yes. This is
removed.
last feature. This is actually last feature, last big feature we want to have there, and it just verify health of endpoints and
So what
collect
kind of
some
text are we doing
statistics.
in terms of health points? So are we just making some various calls for performance?
Yes, we will making some various calls, storing the statistical data, because we are targeting to web browser component. We are limited only to HTTP connections. We can't go deeper and get better statistic info. When we try to do that at Node.js directly, it would be possible to step down even at socket level and really collect very useful information. But that's impossible on browser side. So unfortunately, we are limited here. But as far as we did research, I hope it will be sufficient to collect some information and just allow user to select another endpoint. Because this component only will send notifications to client application, and the application will decide or notify user to select different endpoint or not. Anyway, I hope it will be tested soon at our Block Explorer implementation and probably also at Dancer, so we will have feedback.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see. So other than that, I guess another thing, one of the things I was working on recently was other than the image image hoster caching stuff, which I've written about already, posted about. Uh, I did some spec work for the light accounts. So I created an initial specification, a sort of draft specification for what that should look like. And I've also put in information about uh, supporting transactions at the second layer. So, I mean, from my point of view, basically what light accounts are is it's a key management system, and it's how we want to be able to basically process transactions that don't necessarily really show up. They aren't processed at the first layer, except it's just the transportation layer. So as such, I wanted to have ability to do various forms of signature checking and all that, so that each app that say wants to support multi-sig doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. So I've kind of spec that out. And the specification for the light accounts, it's on GitLab if anybody wants to take a look and make any comments. But it's designed to support, basically be able to support up to the same kind of levels of things that Hive can do. So it's got the concept of not only multi-sig but also authorizations and things like that as well. And I think it's a fairly flexible design, and I don't think it's going to be too complicated to do, but we'll see. And then the other thing I spent a little bit of time was thinking about how to model transactions at the second layer, because that's another issue that you start to look at when you start to look at second layer stuff, is how to support transactions. So we've kind of got that built in at the first layer, of course. But uh, again, I didn't want everybody to have to come up with different methods of supporting transactions just because they create a different half app, for instance. So let's see what else. And that's all just spec work. No work has been done on that yet. I guess we'll probably get somebody attached to that work soon. I don't know. There's probably a lot more, but I don't really want to go over it now. It's just too many pieces, and we've been talking for a while. So I'm going to shift off to let anybody else who wants to talk for a bit, and I'll make a post with more details about some of this later. So I don't know if anybody else wants to share what they've been working on lately.
Yeah, I'll share a couple of things from our side, aside from our ActiveIt work. We recently set up, I think I only mentioned to you, Dan, about the hivescan.info public website, which hosts the work you guys did on the Block Explorer UI. I'm really happy to have an official domain like this instead of Hive blocks, because of Hive blocks going down so much frequently. Hopefully, we might be able to contribute some of the work to the Block Explorer. I might have a couple of developers help out with this.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So we're just trying to push some help to the work being done on Hive and whatnot. So what else? Our node for torrent serving is live. I don't know how much this is getting used, but I mean it's something.
Yeah.
It's there. So we have a couple of seeds now between us and you. So hopefully this helps as well.
Well, I think it's one of
Yeah.
those things that over time will become more useful, as more people know about it and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our node has had no issues recently. I'm quite happy with the setup. It's fully functional. It's serving. I mean, we use it all across our ActiveIt services, the API, the Hive-D node, and the full
Okay, so that's the default API node for the ActiveIt website.
Yes. Not only the website. I mean, all our services, everything that runs ActiveIt, the apps, the whole thing. So we're using it as default now. It's been pretty. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of stress, so it's a bit more responsive than other nodes. I mean, it's public, but probably
No, I know
people
you're
use
saying
other nodes.
well, a lot of it comes down to there's a lot of nodes that are the default point for, like, Hive.blog default points to API.hive.blog, so it gets a lot of traffic from that. And I'd imagine, yeah. So I think I'm not surprised that you're getting less traffic right now. It's probably normal.
Yeah,
I imagine
agree.
we'll get a better spread over the nodes. So one of the things I think is kind of an issue right now is we don't really have anything that really figures out which nodes are, lighter. I mean, we've got some things like the the beacon.pd.com.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things actually is just tends to be latency of who's close to you. It tends to give, that's actually can be an important factor too. And so the thing that Bartek was talking about basically would help with that. If somebody writes with their code written with Wax, will, I think is going to be able to identify a close node, that's a close API node that's not too heavily loaded.
Yes, actually, the work is in progress, and Bartek, too bad that he's gone already. But yes, we were talking about the generic solution for multiple apps. One of the good examples is how BitShares wallet
Yes,
have.
it's exactly the one I think of.
Yes.
Yeah, it talks to a bunch of clients and just finds out which one is performing best for that particular user's browser.
Yes, and for our use case, it's one thing is to know which nodes are fast or slower from a given point of view, because of course in, I don't know, Southeast Asia, the different nodes are fast or slow.
Absolutely.
And the second thing is that there will be plenty of different nodes. Some will serve Half-Block Explorer backend, some of them will not, etc.
Yeah, so they need to sort of collect that
yes,
information, so you can know which. I mean, you can basically have multiple API nodes serving your data. You can be getting some of your data from one and some of your data from the other with this kind of as we think about this kind of problems more. Sorry. So that was, I guess I didn't mean to interrupt you too long, Arctic.
Oh, no, not at all. That's actually, I mean, that'll be a fantastic improvement. I mean, if we can really get this going, maybe even implemented within libraries like Hive.js and whatnot that can auto switch or just
Yeah,
pull
well,
data.
that's what we're building into the Wax library, and Bartek's dream is to replace everything with Wax anyway. So he wants to replace Hive.js and all the other ones with Wax.
Well,
I mean,
hopefully.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be legacy applications that I don't know how easy it is to port from one to the other. So I'm not sure. I think we'll be supporting the other libraries, but I mean, I say we, but I mean, we don't even support Hive.js. It's other guys like Matayari and that support that. So yeah, I don't think we'll see all the libraries go away, but yeah, hopefully we'll get to a common library that can be done for most of the new stuff. That's as long as we have multi-language support, it seems like there's no good reason not to move that to get to that point.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess that's it from our end. Yeah, just a noteworthy event. A couple of days ago, there was a cool event, a fitness-related event in Venezuela by HISPA-Pro. It was about ActiveFit and Hive, and we had like around 40 signups within that day. Really, athletes and fitness gurus and gyms. So that's, I mean, kind of the things that I enjoy and I love seeing with boosting like fitness across Hive and across the world. I mean, we're planning more events like this. Just a noteworthy event with the HISPA-Pro community.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So anybody else had anything they want to share today?
I'll just mention very quickly that I'm sort of working towards with VSC the whole ingress of Lightning into Hive. It's not core dev stuff, but it's very important. And thanks everyone for supporting the proposal. So Hive, I'm storing people's sats for a little while, but the goal is that very soon, when VSC is up and running, you'll be able to send sats in and then have them bounce around within Hive as wrapped sats within Hive.
Okay, so those would be like
VSC.
Then there'd be like a multi-sig. That's what the multi-sig kind of.
That's the big tech that Vaultek's doing, is the big multi-sig and over collateralization and all of that stuff. But I've got the front end basically waiting for that. So
oh, great, that's cool. What's the front end written in?
It's a combination of Python APIs in the back end and Vue front end, but
Okay.
the APIs are all public, and the servers that run the APIs are all public. So
okay.
It's basically just a way of receiving sats. The bit that's hard is the talking to the Lightning node that I have, but that bit it's all public, except you can't access my Lightning node. So you have to go through the API.
Okay,
It's
I
like
see
an
what you're
API
saying.
front
Yeah,
end.
it's like
My-
yeah, you've got a facade in front of it so that you can only do things that the API
Yes.
lets you do.
And the one thing I've done, which I'm quite pleased with, which I need to document and explain, is I've got a way to sign up. When you sign a transaction, when you sign up with Hive Keychain, you sign in to the API and get a token. The web front end gets a token. And I've also extended that so that you can then attach a pass key to your Hive sign-in. So you sign in once on a desktop with your Hive keychain, add a pass key, which can be your phone or a YubiKey even, and then you can sign in on other devices without needing Hive keychain. Now, I can't move Hive around, but all of my internal SATs-based stuff, you can use a pass key. So you can use your Face ID on your phone or any other login. I think it sort of makes a very nice experience, but I'll explain it better when I make videos about it.
Okay, sounds cool. Anyone else for today?
No, looks like that's it.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
you, everyone.
guys.
See you around.
Take